I heard her voice before I saw her face. A soft, careless murmur drifting from the kitchen, as if she were ordering groceries, not detonating the last intact part of my life. "I told everyone we opened our marriage," she said. Her tone held the same indifferent sweetness she used when reminding me to take out the trash. "So I'll sleep with my boss for a start." A fork tapped a plate. Tea steamed. She never looked up. And I went to bed. Not a word, not a tremor. I just lay down in the darkness and listened to my heartbeat flatten into something cold and unrecognizable. Because silence is the one thing people never prepare for. They expect shouting, implosion, fire. Not a quiet man staring at the ceiling while the world shifts its bones beneath him. When morning came, I cooked pancakes. Fluffy, perfect. A whole table full of food. Fruit, honey, cream, colors bright enough to blind her. She smiled as she walked in. "Good, you finally understood." But her smile snapped in half when she saw who sat at the table. My daughter-in-law. Her eyes already wide. Her phone vibrating with the echo of her own voice from last night. The voice that had ordered me, "Come wash the dishes if you want Thanksgiving." Now she stared at the velvet morning light pouring across my Swiss villa photos on the table. My villa, my silence, my revenge. She didn't speak, neither did I. Just the sound of a phone buzzing 71 times in a row. And that was only the beginning. People think betrayal begins with a confession. It doesn't. It begins with a shift, small, almost invisible, like a thread pulled from a sleeve. Hers started with late meetings, a new perfume too expensive for her taste, and a sudden urgency to guard her phone. I noticed everything, but I said nothing. I watched her smile differently, not wider, sharper. The kind of smile people make when they believe they've grown smarter than you. Then came the daughter-in-law's voice, dripping arrogance. "If you want Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes." As if I were begging for a seat at my own family table. As if they had already rewritten my role in their lives. It was strange how quickly greed traveled. From my wife's eyes to my daughter-in-law's words to the sudden hush that fell whenever I entered a room. I wasn't losing them. No, they thought they were losing me. My influence, my money, my usefulness. And people like them panic when they think the tree they have been feeding on has stopped growing leaves. Every night, lying beside a woman who didn't love me anymore, I felt my mind turn to steel. No shouting, no begging, no pleading. Just observation. Silent, disciplined, surgical. And beneath it all, a quiet suspicion pulsing like a bruise. How long has this betrayal been alive? While she slept, I studied her phone patterns. The hours she smiled too quickly at notifications. The nights she showered twice. The mornings she hummed unfamiliar songs. I kept my face expressionless. I researched her boss, his habits, his recent divorce, his reputation for mentoring younger employees. I hired no one. I trusted no one. I didn't need to. Every evening after she fell asleep, I sat in the living room with a single lamp on and traced the lines of the story forming in front of me. Receipts, calendar entries, deleted messages restored from backups she didn't know still existed. And the daughter-in-law, her sudden demands, her raised chin, her assumption that I was desperate to belong. She didn't know where I spent my summers, or winters, or that I had properties she had never breathed near. They had built fantasies about me, about my worth, about what they deserved. I let them build, because construction is always followed by collapse. The night before the pancakes, my wife came home smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. She kissed my forehead. I didn't blink. She whispered, "Good things are coming." She had no idea how right she was. The evidence wasn't dramatic. A dinner reservation for two, a hotel charge, a photo of her, blurred but clear enough, his hand around her waist. I printed them quietly, placed them in a slim envelope. The confrontation wasn't a scene. No accusations, no theatrics. I slid the envelope across the table the next morning, right before placing the pancakes down. She opened it. Her breath shook. Her fingers trembled. But her voice tried to stay strong. "This isn't—" "It is," I said, calm, flat, as if reading weather reports. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again, like a fish gasping on dry land. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't ask why. I already knew. She didn't cheat for passion. She cheated for advantage. People like her always mistake kindness for weakness, silence for surrender. They never notice the moment the ground starts to shift. The real strike wasn't the evidence. It was the table set for three. The daughter-in-law sitting there, shocked, holding her phone, staring at the photos of my Swiss villa, the villa she had mocked me for pretending to own. Her arrogance shattered in real time. My wife's face drained of color. She looked at the feast, at the guests, at the truth. "What? What is this?" she whispered. "Thanksgiving," I said. "Yours, not mine." I poured myself coffee. "I told you," I said to my daughter-in-law, "enjoy." Her phone started ringing, again and again. 71 times. Family members who suddenly realized the tree they tried to cut down still had deep roots. My wife reached for my arm. I stepped back. Not fast, just enough to show her the distance she had created herself. "You planned this?" she breathed. "No," I said. "I allowed it." And her face, God, her face, collapsed in on itself. Not because she lost me, but because she realized she had never understood me at all. When I left the house that evening, I felt nothing. No grief, no rage. Just an openness inside me, like a door quietly closing behind a long, haunted corridor. People think the opposite of love is hate. They're wrong. It's indifference. Cold, clean indifference. As I walked away, I didn't look back. Not at the woman who gambled and lost. Not at the daughter-in-law whose greed strangled her pride. Not at the life they thought they controlled. Some truths don't need to be spoken. Some victories don't need applause. And some endings arrive with the softest steps. The final thought that crossed my mind was simple, almost gentle. I was never theirs to break. And now they finally knew it.